Stephen Interviews You. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Stephen Interviews You. This is a series where I sit down and have a good chat with a very special guest. This is episode number 29. And my special guest would be, introduce yourself.
Adam Jaksa, voice of the Chippewas. Fire up.
Nice to have you on, Adam. So let's get started. You are mainly into broadcasting and play-by-play related activities. Could you tell me what got you started in that? What really began your journey into broadcasting / play-by-play calling?
Yeah, I think just like many people, I loved sports growing up. I was really active. I played soccer and baseball and basketball and some golf, some tennis, really anything with a ball that I could get my hands on. I was playing. Stephen, I don't know if I was very good. Clearly, I wasn't very good, but I loved it. And my family, we're big sports fans. You know, my mom and my two sisters and my dad. My dad's the reason that I do this. I think about him every day, and he used to coach me. He used to be hard on me, and I used to go to games with him all the time. And the passion for sports came from him, and it also came from my mom and my sisters. I mean, I grew up in the Lansing area, and my mom and my sisters, they all chose Michigan State. They went to Michigan State, and my dad went to Michigan. And, I didn't go to Michigan, but I grew up rooting for the teams that my dad was rooting for. So there was some competitive rivalries in the Jaksa household growing up. And then watching my sisters compete, they were very active in sports. So all of that definitely was influential in me just falling in love with sports and being enamored with all the different pro teams and all the different leagues, and collegiately falling in love with March Madness and college football. Those are the days that I absolutely cherish and love, and now still get to do them. So, I went to college and was a little timid about if I should go into sports broadcasting. I actually was a pretty decent soccer player, so I went and played soccer at a Division III school and went into engineering, and I did it for about, I don't even think I made it to the first semester, and I was like, this is not for me. I really feel like I need to chase the broadcasting dream, and that's when I transferred to Central Michigan because of their great broadcasting program, and I had some ties up there. My uncle was the baseball coach at the time, so from that point on, I just attacked it and wanted to get really good at it, and still have the desire to be as good as possible and keep growing and learning and just appreciating and enjoying the opportunities of still being able to be around sports, which is what I grew up loving.
Yeah. So when it comes to calling the action for sports, in your opinion, Adam, what are some of your favorite sports that you like to cover?
Yeah,
In no
I think,
particular order.
they're all great. The three that I do the most certainly are baseball, basketball, and football. Those are the ones that I love the most. And I will give you the order. I mean, this is hilarious because if you would have gone back like 10 years ago, I would have told you I was like a soft baseball fan. I was like a baseball light, a diet baseball fan, however you want to say it. It was there. And I watched and I knew about it, but now I am a crazy, I guess, old man lover of baseball. I mean, there's nothing like going to the park. There's nothing like being there every single day of the summer. Like it's special. And the history of the game and talking to the players and just the sights, the sounds, the smells, like I absolutely love being at the ballpark. So that one's up there. There's still an absolute thrill of college football when you go to a big stadium. I've had the opportunity to go to, Happy Valley and Penn State, or LSU under the lights. We're going down to Miami, where they had the national championship this year in September. So like the venues for college football and the feel of like, this is it. You only play your rival once. You only play this team once before next year. It's a sprint once you wait for so long the football to come back. I love that atmosphere of everybody gathering and tailgating and piling in and watching that game. And then, how could you not? I mean, we're doing this in early March, Stephen. Like, this is the best month of the year in my book. Like you got March Madness and you got the upsets coming. We got Selection Sunday soon. You got the conference tournaments where teams all have an opportunity to get into the big dance. Like it's hard to pick one, but those three certainly are the ones that have always stood out to me just because, again, that's what I grew up watching. And I still feel that passion and energy when I get a chance to watch or call those sports today.
Yeah. So one of the things that caught my attention when I was reviewing your resume on your website, which I will provide in the description box below, was the Lansing Lugnuts. Your time with the Lansing Lugnuts, high A level baseball. Could you take me through that time in particular? What was it about working for the Lansing Lugnuts that stood out to you?
Yeah, well, I'm still working for him today. I mean, I love it. It's I grew up just south of Lansing. I grew up going to Lugnut games, you know, and when I was in college at Central Michigan, I had the opportunity to work on the press box staff and just be up there and run camera or direct the game or work the video boards and like be down in the dugouts and see the players and kind of how this all works. And then, you know, full circle now get the opportunity to call those games. Like I've called a lot of Central Michigan baseball games in my past, but there was nothing. My first season with Lansing was in 2019, and there was nothing like that season of just what you're learning. You learn so much about the game of baseball. And, you know, I love Central Michigan and like the opportunity to call college baseball, but it's much shorter. You know, there's not as many games and it's not every single day. You get there and you see like how the leagues work. Like all of these leagues are leading up to Major League Baseball. All of these players have been drafted, or most of them have been either drafted or signed as free agents, and they're coming in working just like you are. You're working as a broadcaster to grow and get better and hopefully ascend to the major league level. They're doing the same thing. And so it's just awesome to see like they are professionals and they are good at this, but then there's another level. And you see the day to day, you're able, there's so much downtime to grab them for a couple of minutes around batting practice or whenever and just pick their brain. And it's like being on air. There's not as much dead air time to be able to talk and have conversation as there is in baseball as like a football or basketball. And I get that same type of feel for like just being around the team. Like you're usually on a bus. You're usually around for batting practice or they're getting ready for the game that is every single day. There's seeing them in the hotels. And, you know, you just strap in for the ride. Like whether it's the Lansing Lugnuts, whether it's the Colorado Rockies, whether it's, you know, the Frisco Rough Riders, it doesn't matter. Like you get the opportunity from the beginning of April all the way until September to tell the story of your team. And you have to find creative ways to tell the stories of your players and the team without doing it the same exact way. And then, you know, Stephen, for minor league baseball, like there's a deadline, there's a draft, and there's ascension for guys that are doing well. So like your team in April is usually completely different than the team that you have in September. So it's like, I've never had that before where you start the season with guys and then you finish the season with a lot of different guys. So like, that's a unique challenge. And then, you know, like I get lost in the summer months and the summer nights of like the fireworks going off and you hit July 4th and like, you know, the nights where you've got the different themes and the fans are into it. Like it's something else, man. I hope it comes up, but I absolutely love baseball. And again, if we would have done this 10 years ago, I don't know if I would have been able to tell you this. And I think a lot of that, I know a lot of that has come from my time being able to spend it in Lansing and getting an opportunity to work with a guy like Jesse Goldberg Strassler, who is just as passionate about baseball as I am.
Yeah. That caught my attention about your work for the Lansing Lugnuts because my journey into sports as a sports fan, it started with the game of baseball. Even though, as it is now, I don't cover baseball, I cover college football. But it started with baseball as a kid growing up. my love for sports started with baseball. So that's what just really stood out to me when I reviewed your resume. So um, going back to the Central Michigan Chippewas, you have been the voice of the Chippewas for broadcasting play-by-play. Uh, Basically, what is that like? How does it feel to be that guy that shows up to work every day to call the action for Central Michigan?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's something I think a lot of people would like to do. And there's only one person that gets to do it. And I always have to remind myself that what a dream this is. At whatever level you're at, you get an opportunity to call games. And if you're lucky enough, people are going to pay you to call those games. And in my case, there's an extra passion for it because I went to school here, and I have the opportunity to talk with these coaches and get to know the student athletes and just, there's being able to call games as a broadcaster for a team is a lot different than like a national broadcast. And they're both unique and awesome opportunities. But to be able to kind of, you're not on the team, but like to feel a part of it, right? Like you travel with the team, you get downtime, you get to just like talk with the guys and talk with the coaches. Like I really feel you get a sense of like camaraderie and like you're rooting for these guys. Like just like you would root for anybody else that are friends in your life. Like you want successes for the people that you respect in your lives. And like you're calling the action. You're describing these guys' lives in sports moments. It's pretty cool. So I absolutely love it. I hope that it, if somebody listens to a broadcast or someone turns on a ESPN Plus broadcast, I really hope it comes across that I love my job. I'm passionate about it, and that, I want people to hear it and go, yeah, that guy, like every single moment of every single game is important, because it is. It may not be the Super Bowl every single game. It may not be the top 25 matchup that night, but to those players, to those coaches, to those fans, to those alums, to those parents, to those family members, it's everything, and Steven, about the MAC, man. Like it runs deep. People love this conference. People are passionate about this conference. So, to be able to tell the stories of my alma mater and continue to grow as a broadcaster and get better and be as passionate as possible for the Chippewas, like it's a feeling that I really take great pride in, and I'm very, very honored that they decided to have me do it, and I hope I get to continue to do it for a long, long time.
Yeah. So about where Central Michigan is located, which would be Mount Pleasant, Michigan. Could you tell me more about that community itself, Mount Pleasant, Michigan? What is it like since you have experience going there, going to school? Could you tell me what Mount Pleasant, Michigan's about?
Well, the first thing you need to know, Stephen, if you've never been to Mount Pleasant, there is absolutely zero mountains. It may be the flattest spot in all of Michigan. So I don't know how it got that name, but we just run with it. Mount Pleasant is one of those classic MAC campuses that's kind of in the middle of nowhere. You go down to Oxford and then boom, there's a campus. You go down to Athens and then boom, there's a campus down there. You go out, shout out NIU as they exit past Chicago, and you're like, oh, DeKalb is out there. It's the same thing with Mount Pleasant. You come to the Lansing area and you go north, and you're usually making your way to the UP or northern Michigan, and we're kind of like the middle ground. You want to stop in and catch some football. You want to stop in and grab a nice sandwich at Max and Emily's, get off exit 139 and come see us in Mount Pleasant. It's a very family-oriented campus and community. And I don't want that to sound cliche, because I feel like that gets thrown out a lot. Like it truly is. There's the community and there's Central Michigan University, and there's not much else up there. You're kind of like there by yourselves, which makes it like this place that you get there and people are just, they're so down to earth and they're so caring about one another. And you can truly build like relationships that you can hold on to and that matter. And I'm not saying that other places don't have that, but like it feels genuine up here. And that's what drew me to, one, going to school there, and two, staying up there as long as I have. Like, it really does feel like home. And, you hear a lot of the recruits and the players say that. Like, I got up on campus, and it really is like, get them on campus, and then they see it, and they're like, oh, Mount Pleasant, this place is nice. You got to get them there. But once they do, it's a special place, and there's a lot of support for the people that are competing, or the people that are going to school there, or even the high schools that are around there, or the elementary schools. Like, it's truly a great spot. And it's tight. Like, I like how tight it is from, like, Broomfield kind of separates, Broomfield Road separates, the athletic venues, and then campus is north of that. But then you get past campus and you go to downtown, like, it's all pretty tucked in tight. So that was one of the things that I loved when I went to school there, is like, if you were going out that night to like a restaurant or a bar or wherever, like, there's only a few spots and everybody is going to those spots. So like, you go out with a group of friends, there's a chance you're going to see everybody else there as well. And again, it just adds to that like community bond, that like culture of everybody just having a good time, like, you come up here to, I think that's the other thing too. Like, we're Central Michigan. We're not Michigan. We're not Michigan State. We're not Ohio State. We're not one of these big schools. Like, you kind of do have that chip on your shoulder, right? But because you're in the middle of nowhere, what else are you going to do besides pursue what you want to do in life? And this is the spot that you can start that. And for me, like, Central Michigan had a great broadcasting program. So I'm like, all right, let's go up in the middle of nowhere in Mount Pleasant with all of these other individuals that are down to earth and hardworking and have little chips on their shoulders. Let's all kind of form like a bond, and let's be as humble as possible, but get as good as possible at what we want to do. That's my philosophy. And I've met a lot of other individuals from Mount Pleasant or that went to Central Michigan that have that same type of drive. And, I don't know about you, Steven, but like, those are the type of people that I love and I care about, and I want them to have success. So like, that's what I think of when I think of Central Michigan and Mount Pleasant.
Yeah. And that would definitely be a thing about Athens, Ohio as well, from the Bobcats fans that I talk to. No different, what you just described to me about Mount Pleasant. So I can definitely relate to that. Moving on to this other topic, your Chatting Chippewas podcast on the Central Michigan website. In recent times, you have been putting up episodes of Chatting Chippewas. Could you tell me what that is like? What is it like to have a podcast like that? And what are your current plans for that podcast?
Yeah, I appreciate you asking about it. I love play-by-play, but I also love just talking and interviewing other people and getting to know their stories, right? Like, we usually do it in a game form when it comes to doing play-by-play. Why not do it in a form when the focus can all be on the interviewee? And that's what it is. It's an opportunity for me to get to know Chippewas, whether it's coaches, whether it's student athletes, whether it's just students, whether it's alums, whether it's student athletes that are alums and have gone on to do other things. So I've had it for a couple of years, but I really, we stopped doing it because it was only audio, and I wanted to get a video component in it. And, it's one of the things when you work at a smaller school like Central Michigan, as you know, with Ohio, like, sometimes you don't have the resources to be able to do everything when you got to get through the games and everything. Like, sometimes you are a little short-staffed and you have to wear multiple hats. So like, it took a while for us to kind of get settled in, and we are so student-oriented that you're working with the students and their schedules as well. So you kind of find someone that can help you out with it. And I was able to find a couple of students that were willing to be able to shoot this for me weekly, every couple of weeks. And so, yeah, we started it out, and we interviewed, Coach Haney. She's the women's basketball coach here at Central Michigan. She was our first episode, and Then we had Coach Drinkle for football and Coach Bronkema for basketball. And we've got Luciana Alvarado-Reed, who's an Olympic gymnast on our gymnastics team. We just recently did Ben Bennett. He's the wrestling coach. That episode's actually going to drop tomorrow. So more of those will come out. We're trying to do it weekly, every couple of weeks, whenever we get the time in between all of the sports. And I like to have fun with it. Like, I really like to know. I want the audience to be able to get to know that person, not just who they are on the field or whatever sport they're in, but like what makes them tick, what is different or unique about them than all of the other individuals that we would interview. And we like to have fun. So like, I like to do a part where we sit down and talk, and then we usually get up and go do an activity. So, Kristen Haney, we got to tell the story of her being an absolute legend at Michigan State and leading them to the 2005 national championship game. So in that podcast, we talked about that, and then we get up and we go play pig, and she skunks me. Spoiler. Ben Bennett was a 4-time All-American. So when that comes out, he's the only 4-time All-American in program history. I was like, Ben, take me down. Let's go on the mat. Like, show me the fundamentals of a takedown. And he was a great wrestler on top. So his moves when he was a wrestler. Coach Drinkle, when you go into his office, he's got all of these cool things in there that he's designed in that offense that he just moved into last year. So we walked around and kind of looked at all his trinkets and everything like that. So we do sit down and get to know the individual. And yes, we eventually talk about their team or what they're currently doing with Central Michigan Athletics, but we also get a deeper dive about, something unique and fun where we can get up out of our seats and, we can kind of have some fun with it. So I look like an idiot in a lot of these episodes. I tried some gymnastics with Luciana. That didn't go great. I tried some baseball with Coach Sable, and, he said he wouldn't recruit me. I did some softball recently. So we're hoping to just come out with fun content for fans. And again, give them a little bit more of the behind the scenes of, hey, who is this person outside of just them and their Central Michigan polo or their Central Michigan uniform?
Yeah. So as everyone would notice, in the Mid-American Conference, there are 3 Michigan schools, with Central Michigan being one of them. Could you take me through the dynamic between Central Michigan and, of course, the other schools, Western Michigan and Eastern Michigan? There's obviously that kind of rivalry between you 3. What is that like? Because that seems to be very unique.
Yeah, I think it just goes in to show you that Michigan is passionate about sports. The Midwest, certainly in general. I don't want to leave you guys out. Like, Ohio is very passionate. Indiana, Illinois, like Pennsylvania, like Wisconsin. The Midwest, it's this tough blue collar type of, region that loves sports. And that's the same thing in Michigan. I mean, look at all the Division I teams. Every state is unique, where like you go down to Alabama and they don't have like any pro teams. Like, we have pro teams in the state of Michigan, but like we also have classic rivalries, and everyone looks at like Michigan and Michigan State, and I get it. It's a great rivalry. But like Central Western is, the rivalries we have in the MAC are incredible. Like Western Central, outstanding. The Battle of the Bricks between Miami and Ohio, outstanding. Bowling Green, Toledo, the battle for I-75. Like, there are some great rivalries with just elite history of classic games and great players and great coaches and fan bases that absolutely can't stand each other. And that's the same type of thing with all the 3 schools in the state of Michigan. Like, yes, Eastern is in-state, and Eastern will always have that connection of you wanting to beat them. And I'm not knocking Eastern, all right? But like Western is the rival. Like Western is the team that they hate us and we can't stand them. And that burning passion to want to win that game, that's what it's all about. I have great respect for Western Michigan. I hate them, and I never want to lose to the brown and gold, but you have great respect for them. And the coaches that have come before, and the players, and the moments, like those games, there's just a different feel. We had an absolute classic at Western this year for football, and it didn't go the way that we wanted right at the end. We were up for most of the game, and Coach Drinkle's first game on the road, they had a near sellout. First time in probably about 10 years that both teams were really good again. Like, and you understand, like this year, like we're recording this week right before Miami and Ohio are about to battle in the regular season finale in basketball, with Miami coming in trying to win in Athens for the first time since 2011 to keep their perfect season alive. Like the MAC runs deep in me, man. Like these rivalries are awesome. It's the same type of thing for the Western game. Like both teams are battling for an opportunity to get to Detroit. It's to open the month of November. You got fans screaming, and it's a tight game. It's back and forth, and it was little moments of fourth down late in the game that ended up winning it, and you're gutted as a Central Michigan fan and a Central Michigan alum. Western, you're elated, and then you have the basketball side. Like it goes back and forth. So I don't know if I did a good job describing that, but like it means something, man. Like it really does mean something more. People love sports up in the Midwest, and that's I always like I get to this time of year and I'm like, why do I live here when it's negative degrees out and it's snowy and it's cold? And then I remember, yeah, but look at all these people that are just like me that absolutely love sports, and like it's like as close to life or death as it comes when these games happen. And like, I love it. There's passion, there's commitment, there's guys and girls that are just so excited about their teams, their alma maters, winning games, and it's the MAC. It's not talked about as much, but it doesn't matter. It still means just as much more. And it really is cool when you get that opportunity to see them play at the highest level, and it does get picked up like at a national level. Like, again, I'll go back to Ohio and Miami. That game's on ESPN2, I believe, at 9 o'clock on Friday. Like, you don't tell me that most of the country is going to be dialed into that. November 1st, Central and Western, that was on linear ESPN. Like, you don't tell me that someone's just going to flip that on and not find a way to fall in love with that rivalry just to, like, be interested in it. It's like one of those things, you don't take it for granted. We aren't Michigan. We're not on national television every single game. All right? But when we do get on national television, or we do get that moment in a big game, like, it means that much more. And all three of our schools, you want to protect the state of Michigan. Eastern wants to beat us. They also want to beat Western. Western wants to beat us and Eastern, and we want to beat both those schools. Like, it's passion. It's passion, and, I think people, if you follow this conference, you feel that when you come to the state of Michigan with these three schools.
Yeah. That was so well said, and I'm glad you mentioned other rivalries in the MAC, such as Battle of the Bricks. I highlight that all the time between my Ohio Bobcats and the Miami Redhawks. I can't stand Miami. Let me tell you right there, I just cannot stand Miami. They're always in our way. They're always there at the end of the football season. It's like, can you guys just get out of the way for once? So I totally get that. And so you mentioned the Midwest. I'm glad you brought this up because I was going to bring this up as a question. Recently, as you know, with conference realignment being a thing, Northern Illinois, they are on their way out. They're going to the Mountain West Conference to be a football-only member for them. And in return, we recently added Sacramento State to the MAC for football only. What are your thoughts, Adam? What are your thoughts on that move, adding Sacramento State, which is way out west, Sacramento, California? What are your thoughts on that? And do you think there can be potential benefits in adding a school like Sacramento State to our conference?
Yeah, it's crazy times right now, right? I mean,
Yeah.
the MAC is kind of late to the party in terms of making that non-regional move, because we've seen it with pretty much every other conference. When you have like Cal, I think, playing in the ACC and they're on the West Coast, it's just like, what? But that's just how things are going right now. So, I think it makes sense for both parties. Like, Sacramento State is like, we are dying to be FBS. And the MAC said, well, how much are you going to give us? And they're like, we are dying to be FBS. We will give you whatever you want. We will pay for these teams to travel out to play us. Can we please come into your conference? And the MAC said, okay, let's do it. So I think it makes sense. Like, listen, it stinks that NIU's leaving, but like, if there's a team that's going to leave or there's a school that's going to leave, NIU has been the one that has left, been here, left, and come back, and now they're leaving again. So, like, I get it. Like, they got to go make some money and go to the Mountain West. It's not ideal, but they got to do what's best for them. At the same time, the MAC also has to do what's best for them. So they go get UMass. We get back to a 12-team league. And then Sacramento State says, hey, you guys don't have anybody out west. Can we come join your conference? We're going to pay you a lot of money to do that and sign a 5-year deal. And, Steven, I don't know. I don't know how these things work. Like, I'm not a commissioner or anything like that, but I think it's pretty clear that they would probably like to get to the Mountain West or the Pac-12 eventually. I don't see this as a long-term move, and that's okay. But I think that first step is like, get to the FBS any way possible, especially in a changing landscape. You just want to be in the race, right? Is kind of how I view things. And now they're in it. They're going to be FBS for football. And we'll see if anything else follows for them. And for the MAC, we already are the games that are on at like completely random late times, right? Like if it's a Tuesday and Ohio is trudging out to Muncie to play Ball State, you're flipping that game on because you want football, right? We're all sickos. We love college football. That's why this is great. So, like, if you need football, there's midweek action in November. Why not make it go a little bit later? You know what? Sacramento State, I don't even want to think about what time those games are going to end Eastern time zone on a Tuesday or a Wednesday if you're going out to, I think, Hornet Stadium or whatever it's called. It just feels like Maction. Like, a lot of it doesn't make a ton of sense, and it's crazy and chaotic. But, like, the MAC is doing what the rest of the conferences are doing, and they're making sure that if they have an opportunity to add somebody and it makes sense, they do it. So, like, listen, I'm an old head. Would I love for us to be the Big Ten where they have the 10 schools and there's not the additions and they are regionalized? Of course I would. Like, I'm not as much of a lunatic as maybe some people think I am. Yes, I would love for us to have regional conferences and things to be a little bit more normal. But, like, that's not how college athletics are going right now. So I applaud the MAC for making a move because it seems like it's beneficial. Get your footprint out in the West, get some more cash. And for Sacramento State, I get it from their perspective as well. Like, they want to move FBS. Cool. They ponied up, they paid, and they're going to help cover the costs. So let's do it. I just think in life, you got to adapt. If you don't adapt, you're left behind. That's always been my philosophy. I'm not a perfect person. I don't have all of the answers for you, but like, you just adapt and go with what's going and keep on fighting the fight. And that's what we got right now. It may not make a lot of sense, but hey, we still get sports and we still get an opportunity to watch this league. And now it'll be a new twist and something different that'll give us something new to talk about come next fall.
Yeah. So a quick follow-up question to that would be concerning the MAC. Just in your opinion only, where do you see the MAC going in a few years from now when it comes to stuff like conference realignment? Where do you see the pieces falling, so to speak?
Boy, I wish I knew, man. I have no idea. If I had to guess, just because this is the way of college athletics right now, I wouldn't be surprised if they're adding more teams. You're always hearing the talks of a Middle Tennessee or a Marshall coming back or whatever school is out there that may have some cachet to come to the league. I don't think we're done with the conference realignment. It seems like every year, and for how quick it happens too, like, you remember when like Oklahoma and Texas went to the SEC, that was like a 2-year plan before they got there. Nobody knew about Sacramento State besides the MAC. And then all of a sudden, we had beat writers put it out there that the MAC was in discussion. And then like 3 days later, the MAC officially was announcing that Sacramento State was indeed coming into the conference for football only. Oh, by the way, that's happening this fall. Like July, they swing over. Like, it's just crazy how quick it's happening now. It's just like it's like Thanos snapping his fingers and boom, Sacramento State is in the MAC. Cool. So, hey, I couldn't even attempt to act like I know what the MAC is going to look like in 3 years. But I tell you what, it makes it interesting. It's going to be something. Something's going to be happening. And if I had to guess, I think there'll probably be some other teams that will be added, and I hope the core of teams and schools are still here. That's a lot of the credit that the MAC has received is they really haven't had any transition outside of NIU. Like, they have been, I feel like, the conference that has stayed the most stationary, which has been kind of cool. So maybe that changes, and obviously it has a little bit, adding Sacramento State and losing NIU, but you got to do what you got to do to keep with the times and keep moving forward. That's just kind of how life works.
Yeah. So in closing here, this will be the last question. What are some of your favorite Central Michigan moments from your entire time calling the action for whatever sport it may be? If you have really favorite memories, like buzzer beaters or just come from behind victories, anything that comes to your mind, what would be just that stands out to you about Central Michigan Chippewa sports?
Yeah, there's been some really awesome moments. And again, you never know what's going to happen on any given day or any night when Central Michigan takes the floor or hits the gridiron. I think of, this time I was a sideline reporter. I wasn't quite the radio play-by-play guy, but you got to go back to 2016 in Oklahoma State. That one is seared into my brain, of that shocker in Stillwater where they got an untimed down at Cooper Rush, heaves it up. It's a pitch play. Corey Willis gets it from Jesse Kroll. He's streaking. And Steven, I'm doing a makeshift, other duties assigned. This is working in the MAC, right? I was our sideline reporter. So I'm listening to the radio broadcast and have the opportunity to pipe in and talk. But also I'm shooting camera for our athletic department, dueling. And I am right in the end zone. So if you go back and watch, if you YouTube and go watch the ending to Central Michigan and Oklahoma State in 2016, it was on FS1. Corey Willis is coming right towards me, and I'm sitting there with my camera going, no way this is actually happening. And he scores. That place goes silent. Our players charge the end zone and celebrate. We find out later that we shouldn't have gotten the play, but it still happened. We still won. They didn't stop it. That was purely insane as a sideline reporter. In 2021, this was on my birthday, November 3rd, at Western. And we hadn't won. This rivalry has been hard for Central Michigan. We haven't strung together back-to-back wins throughout the last 15 years. So winning every 4 years had happened at their place until this year. 2017, we won there. 2021, we won there. Hoping to do it again this year. It didn't happen. They got down, I think it was 14-0 or something like that, or maybe it was 10-0. And Khalil Pimpleton took 2 punt returns back. It was insane. And we said it on the air. It was right before halftime. And Mahalik was the kicker, I think, for Western Michigan. And we're going, no way they're going to kick this to Khalil Pimpleton again, right, after he'd already housed one. They did. He grabs it on the 5, and he comes up that south sideline and scores with 3 seconds left in the half. And it completely flipped the momentum of the game. Khalil Pimpleton, 3 touchdowns in the final 5 minutes of that first half. And CMU goes on to win it. So that was a cool one. And again, I'm not trying to bag on the Broncos, but again, that brings out the best in both those schools. Any rivalry does. The return of the toilet paper toss a few years ago, Western Michigan came in and they led outside of probably 30 seconds the entire game. And it's late. There's 4 minutes left. This is, I think, Tony Barbie's first year when he was our head coach. And they get a free throw. They're up by 2, and they miss the free throw. So it stays a 2-point game. There's 10 seconds left. CMU had clawed all the way back. This is a sellout, too, in McGurk. First time we brought the toilet paper toss back in some time. And Brian Taylor hits a game-winning 3. and that place just erupts. Western comes down with like 5 seconds left. They throw up a three that's no good, and they storm the court. And I was on the call and I said Central flushes away the Broncos from Mount Pleasant to like just tie in to like this crazy moment. And then you're just watching the students stream onto the court. Like, it's insane. Those are the wins right away that I think about. A couple of big wins against Western in that Oklahoma State game, but there are so many more. There's some heartbreaking losses, certainly. You don't win every game, and you have your bumps, but man, it's worth it because you remember those games like they were yesterday when you think back on them, and you really, again, just appreciate some of the things you get to watch up and close in person and just remember and be like, hey, just like being a fan, like you're a professional and you're talking about the game and trying to do a good job describing it, but like you get to say you were there. Like, hey, do you remember that game this night at this place when this happened? Yeah, I do. I got to watch it. I got to call it. Sports. It's the biggest drama that we still have in life. You just never know what's going to happen. And when you get that game that just pulls you in and you can feel how important it is and how big and how intense it is and how good it is, it's just like a euphoric feeling. It's really cool.
Yeah. So with that, I would like to thank you so much, Adam Jaksa, for being my special guest here on Stephen Interviews You, episode number 29. I got more insight and more knowledge about Central Michigan than I ever have. And so what you broke down for me for Central Michigan Chippewa sports has been very useful. And for those of you guys watching this, I'll provide links to Adam Jaksa's content in the description box below, including Chatting Chippewas, the podcast, where you can check out that podcast, and also his website, so you can check out his resume and everything that he has done. Um, Adam Jaksa, you have done great work being the voice of the Central Michigan Chippewas, and I just being able to do this, to have this interview, it means a lot to me. So thank you guys so much for watching this. If you're new to this channel, please click the notification bell so you can get updates on the content that I create for my channel, STV Castle. And we will be back very soon with more interview related content along the way. Take care, guys.